Well, Wednesday, additional thoughts, 50 Cent, get rich or die trying. I've had some great weeks on this journey through hip hop in almost, 2.5 years, whatever, how long it's been. But I feel like this week is one of the all-time weeks of all time. Right? I remember distinctly Igor. I can never, because of Young Frankenstein, I can never remember which word is the right word now. But, Tyler, the Creator, and really not getting into that album. And that and Whole Lotta Red kind of spawned the idea of Additional Thoughts. And I remember spending a lot of time with that album that week and really trying to get it, and people giving feedback and understanding concepts and listening to it again and still not getting into it. And then, I think to date, my favorite Additional Thoughts video is still for To Pimp a Butterfly, the back half. That's a long video, but the back half I talk about all my heroes, they're all dead, and carrying the torch. And it's just, I don't know, that one just really was really a lot of fun. This week, I think has been probably one of the most enjoyable weeks for me personally through this journey because, I have to apologize. I put on 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying. I was so focused on not putting on another trap album since I had done 2 the previous week. And I was so focused on picking a very important album, a big album, something that was long overdue, something you have to hear if you're doing a journey through hip hop, right? So of course I was like, oh yeah, this one. And I never considered subject matter. Never considered the idea, oh yeah, it's going to be gangster rap. Oh yeah, I've been listening to a lot of that. Oh yeah, I'm kind of burnt out. So you guys who watched the reactions saw me kind of get tired of it. And I apologize for that. I mean, I didn't do that on purpose. But it turned out to be probably one of the best mistakes I've made with this channel because I suffered from gangster rap fatigue. And I have to believe that in the early 2000s, there was probably a lot of people out there who enjoy hip hop, who were starting to suffer from gangster rap fatigue. And I don't know a lot about this era of hip hop. People call it the shiny suit era, Puff Daddy and all that shit. Like it really starts to kind of blow up. And then, I start thinking about my preferences on hip hop and what I think excellent hip hop is and excellent rapping and rhyming schemes and all this stuff. And so when I listen to 50 Cent talk about his rhymes are the best and he's the greatest to do it, and it's like, and I'm not knocking 50 Cent. I'll talk about this album probably only a little bit in this video, more so towards the end. But it made me think, I wonder if this is how Mos Def felt. Andre 3000, MF Doom, these guys who love hip hop, who love what it represents, the culture, all this different stuff, right? And I feel like this week with this album, because of suffering from a little bit of gangster rap fatigue, I got like a sneak peek into what it must have felt like for others who their whole life is hip hop. And the idea of hip hop being stolen from them, being commercialized, being forced to turn into this thing that they feel isn't true hip hop, And I want to be clear. I want to be careful. I don't want to overstate what I'm saying because I'm just me. I consider myself to be an outside observer of hip hop. I don't have any kind of like hip hop culture in my life on a daily basis. I'm exploring the music, and for me, it's essentially music. But this week, this experience, it just gave me that feeling, and it was just, I think really it started with kind of getting tired of the lyrical content, But then also it bloomed out from that of just the themes in general and this idea of every single album, I'm a badass and you can't come at me and I got all the women. Oh, it's like, fuck, I'm just kind of over all this shit, right? So I thought, you know what? This would probably be a great time for me to put on The College Dropout by that up-and-comer, that new guy, the guy he's been producing for Jay-Z. Was his Kanye West, something like that. He's new, right? Because when I listened to The College Dropout the first time, like 2 years ago, I wasn't that impressed. Anybody who saw that reaction you're probably disappointed because I just didn't really get it. At that time, I hadn't heard any of Kanye's music. I expected something bold and outrageous and, like kind of crazy, essentially. And that wasn't there. But this time, when I listened to the College Dropout, I went, oh, now to be clear, okay, I still think Late Registration is far better. Whatever. But listening to the College Dropout all the way through, had my headphones on, this is different. This is kind of refreshing. It's kind of unique. Here's a guy who's talking about how his job sucks and he hates his boss and he's trying to get by and man, I wish I could make it. And it's like, holy shit. Here's some relatability. Here's somebody who's talking about things I think about, I feel, I consider in my daily life. And it was just like, oh, oh, this is why everything turned. And then I listened to Man on the Moon, Kid Cudi, love that album. I love that album. Same kind of thing, right? And I mean, I know that was several years kind of after 50 Cent and, a couple years after College Dropout. But I kind of had this week the mini summarized version of that span of time of gangster rap, hearing a lot of it. I listened to Tupac, All Eyez on Me recently and just, okay. And then kind of get into this shiny suit era. And granted, I've only heard the one album, so I don't want to, act like I'm an expert on that. And just feeling this like, God, I want something different. And then hearing the something different and going, oh. So that was fun. Too, with the idea of considering these other artists, most like the guys already said, the idea of hip hop being co-opted, of it being stolen, of it being commercialized and turned into this money-making monster when it's not supposed to be that, And I started to wonder, well, is this why 50 Cent got some hate? Because I remember when he blew up, I wasn't paying close attention to this, but I still, it's pretty easy to see people talking shit on 50 Cent, on Eminem. People hating on Eminem. And I wonder, I don't know if this is true, I assume there's some truth to it, if Eminem, because of who he was, white guy, because of the music that he was making, I wonder if he brought this whole new audience with him, this whole new group of listeners into, I don't want to say the hip hop culture, but into the listening sphere, the commercialized selling to audience sphere. And if that was part of this whole co-opting of hip hop, because to me that makes sense. I could see why. If, especially back then, and I want to again emphasize, I'm just trying to put myself in somebody else's shoes back then. Just seeing all of this shit change and just hating it. And that's what I love so much about MF Doom and Food. If you listen to that album, if you listen to the samples, he is telling a story about how he's coming back to take hip hop back. He's gotta take it back. New York, the people of New York, I've got to save them. And all of a sudden, listen to the samples that he uses. And he's telling a story through all those samples. And I love that album. And I love Doom. He's my favorite rapper, still, number one. And so I had that whole experience. And then what else I got? I got some other notes here too. I guess that's kind of it. So I just kind of went tumbling down this rabbit hole, this little mini experience for myself, thinking about what does it mean to be a great lyricist, a great rapper, great rhyming schemes, while listening to 50 Cent, who, in my opinion, look, I'm not saying he's bad, but if I were to rank him against other rappers, he wouldn't. Hey, I don't think he wouldn't be top 5 for me. Now, I should probably trim that list a bit and make it more relevant to the time period where he was most active and who else was there. But in terms of like pure rapping, and I said this on the reaction, he's fine, but I wouldn't consider him to be amazing. So that kind of coming into play, like just the idea of this album being so huge while the rapper on it isn't that great. But the album is fucking amazing. In here, kind of like with Drake and how people love to shit on Drake and how it's generic music and McDonald's music or whatever, it's still insanely popular whether you like it or not. Here, it's almost like the other side of the same coin where You don't necessarily want to like it, but you do because it sounds so good. So good. Get Rich or Die Trying is just undeniably catchy. It's undeniably easy to listen to. And for me, someone who was experiencing gangster rap fatigue at the time, I still love the shit out. PIMP. Everything about that song in terms of subject matter, I should have no love for that song whatsoever. It's so goddamn catchy. It is just ridiculous how catchy it is. And it's just like, yeah, it sounds great. In the Club sounds great. What's another? Don't Push Me sounds fucking amazing. 21 Questions is amazing. Like, this album is like, holy shit. So this was another experience for me where it was like, okay, you're taking this clash again of mainstream, of popular, of, I don't even want to say generic because I don't think this fits into that kind of category, but just, you know, how do you sort out these opinions between something that you think is artistic and deep and meaningful versus something that's made to just be consumed and not thought about? And how that's so much more popular than the stuff you love and adore and respect because of how intricate it is, you know? I really don't really know what else to say. I've made this video in my head like probably 10 times this week because I've just been so excited to share this little mini snapshot experience that I had of, and I don't even want to call it this time period because I can't even comment on that because I've really only heard this. I don't even know when the Lil Wayne album first came out, the first one, Carter 1. But it's been just so much fun. Just my own little emotional kind of roller coaster of trying to figure out what does it mean if the music you love, the genre you want to call home, is twisted and distorted into this thing you no longer recognize. But in that, it's now just insanely successful. Because what does that say about your own opinion on what should be considered high quality music and amazing art if it's not in comparison to commercial success or whatever? And I mean, really, it's almost like a philosophical experience, you know, where it's like, well, what's more important, success or creating something you care about? I don't know. And that's what's been so fun. So, you know, in terms of the album is great. I cannot talk down about the album because it's super, super catchy. It's so easy to listen to. I did have an experience where I was doing some work in the garage and I put it on my Bluetooth speaker and I actually enjoyed Heat. So I enjoyed Heat while it was on and it was kind of booming around in the garage and I wasn't really paying attention to it. Anytime I pay attention to it, I don't like it. So that's a strange one for me. But Heat does not have a heart. Bloodhound does not have a heart. Everything else in terms of the core album from the beginning to Gotta Make It to Heaven has a heart. The album is incredible. And then I'm still kind of not really into Gangster. I never really saw, I didn't go through, I've gotten really bad at going through the comments. I don't know what's going on there. That's something else entirely. But I never really saw anything about Ja Rule and why 50 Cent was going after him so hard. I did get a couple messages of links, people showing me Jay-Z warning others, essentially, hey, 50 Cent's coming. You all better get ready. He's coming. And then, you know, it just fucking blows up. So that's kind of fun seeing Jay-Z's perspective on it and hearing other people talk about Jay-Z warning them. This guy's coming. He's going to take all the attention. He's going to get all the money. Like, just you have to lay low for a while and let this blow through and then go back to making music. And with this one specifically, this album, I kind of wish, I said during the reaction how this was 2003. I was in the military at that time. So I have like this gap of popular culture in my memory because I just wasn't around. I wish I would have been around for this. It would have been so neat to just see something like this just fucking blow up and hear something so catchy. And people have talked about experiences where like they're in college or wherever they go, they just hear the songs. It's on the radio. It's in the dorm rooms. It's just fucking everywhere. Like, it would have been cool to kind of have that because I feel like this album probably did that. Every fucking club you went to, I'm sure they were playing in the club. Like, it's just everywhere, you know? And in the short term, that's really fun. It's really fun to kind of ride that wave until you finally burn out and get sick of it. Like, okay, can we listen to something else now? But which happens with every album that they play to death, especially on the radio, right? Okay. There you go, man. There you go. There's my ride with 50 Cent. My first listen to him. The album in general. I mean, it's just an incredible album. And what a wild time. And I'll just keep talking, I suppose. It's really fun for me, too, because I've listened to rock for so long. 30 years, essentially. And I've listened to classics. I listen all over stuff. I don't really necessarily pay close attention to the trends. But when you listen to it all the time and new stuff's coming out, you just inadvertently, ride these different little waves. And I remember when Nirvana came out. And I was never a huge Nirvana fan. But the grunge scene was cool and all that kind of shit. But I've never, in my 30 years of listening to rock, have really experienced this shift. Except one time. Tool. And so it's funny for me to think about listening to the College Dropout and going, oh, this is different. This is unique. This is something I can click with. And remembering back to my freshman year, 1994, my buddy Keith running up to me on a Friday with his CD in his hand. Sean, well, that's my name, not Bob, but Sean, hey, you gotta listen to this, man. You gotta listen to this. What the fuck is this? It's Tool. You know that what's on the radio? He's telling me about it. Oh, okay, yeah. He's like, it's a Friday. You gotta listen to it over the weekend, but you gotta bring it back Monday. Okay, sure, whatever. Bring it home, and I put it on, and I don't really remember like necessarily the experience, but I just remember thinking, like feeling, oh my God, this is what I've been looking for. Without even realizing I was looking for anything at all. And so I just kind of wonder if that's what people felt with College Dropout, when Kanye hit. And it's funny how all these different little things, all these experiences kind of wrap back around to right here. And I can just sit in it and kind of marvel, essentially at the existence of the universe in general. Sometimes I like to do that as well, how it's just all these random events will just sometimes come back and land right in the palm of your hand. And you go, oh, well, that's neat. All right. Friday. It's November, so I'm not telling you what I'm going to listen to, but it obviously will not be a gangster rap album. Oh, man. Good fun. All right, y'all. Take care. We'll see you soon.